Hello, 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 y'all. Welcome, welcome. I see a bunch of people are here. Oh my goodness, welcome, y'all. This is going to be a big stream. If you can let me know in chat if you can hear me okay, if the music volume's right, all that jazz. This is my first stream of Global Hack Week January, so there are always some small technical difficulties at the beginning. So excited to see you all here. Great, I'm hearing I'm good to go. That's great. I hope y'all enjoyed the session that was just going about getting tech internships. It was super informative. I'm excited and a little bit scared to follow that one up. We're going to be having a little bit more of a chill time in this one. We're just going to be working with some low-code, no-code tools. Specifically, I found a tool that I'm really excited to mess around with y'all that can help you take Figma designs and convert them to code. It's in beta right now, which means that it's completely free, which makes me excited. And I believe it is a rare low-code tool that gives you complete control over your source code, which is great, so you aren't stuck with it. So that's kind of the plan of what we're doing tonight. Before we get started, how are people doing? I always like to check in, get the vibes. Can you give us a number of tools we are going to explore? So we're just going to be exploring one tonight because I want to make sure that we have time. Well, technically two. We're going to be talking about Figma. If you haven't heard about it before, it is a great user experience, user interface design platform that was originally a separate entity that I believe was just recently bought by Adobe, but it has a really great free tier and a really great student tier as well. It also is very collaborative, just like a great tool. I've used it in hackathons before to create interesting mock-ups of projects, because oftentimes in a hackathon, sometimes it's just about the idea, not necessarily about the code. So if you aren't super code experienced, but you have a really cool idea for something you want to make, it can give you the ability to communicate that without necessarily needing to have a lot of experience. I also used it before to pitch someone who I actually got a contract with to make a website for a small business. I mocked it up in Figma and sent it over to them, and they really liked it. So that's a great tool, and that is just a design application. Think Photoshop, but for user experience design. And then we can take that, and there are built into Figma. Figma has ways of converting things to code, but they aren't they aren't all inclusive. They take work to take that and use it in an app. It doesn't just spit out an app for you. And I was doing some research, and I found this company called, I don't know if I'm going to be able to necessarily pronounce it correctly, but I think it's going to be pronounced DIYs, DHIWISE, which is a great tool for converting Figma to code. Lots of people are trying it, and while it is in beta, it is free. So people seemed to like it, so I wanted to try it. And yeah, that's really the plan for tonight. I wanted to start the first stream that I'm doing for Global Hack Week January, real chill, quite low key, just kind of easing into it, because I know this is a very beginner focused series of streams, and I wanted to show, I know that when I first learned Figma, which I am by no means a Figma master, but I know just enough to be dangerous. When I first learned it, it felt very empowering because it allowed me to help take the ideas that I had and put them visually so that I could express them to other people, especially when I was just starting. So really powerful tool, and the idea of being able to take that and build a web app from it seems great. With that, I think we should just jump right into it. Now, here is the thing. This is in beta, as you can see up in that corner, which is why it's free right now. But it might mean that we have really weird issues. And I also wanted to show you, so for those of you who haven't seen a stream from me before, hi, I don't know if I introduced myself at the beginning of this. I'm Dimmer, I use they, them pronouns. I've been a coach with MLH for a couple of years now. My methodology for live streams like this is I want to show you what my process looks like at a hackathon, when I'm creating a project, when I'm learning something new. So with this, I'm being totally upfront and honest. I haven't used this before. This is a thing that I found, I did some research on, and I thought would make a really interesting stream subject. And I want to show you what the process of learning looks like. Because so many times, especially when I was first getting started in the computer science space, everyone who is on the internet as a computer scientist is very polished, and it makes sense given kind of the competitiveness of some of the peak roles in the industry and things like that. But it made me feel very discouraged when I made mistakes and when I made projects that weren't perfect and when I did all of these things. So I want to give y'all an example of what this can actually look like, and watch me make mistakes and watch me learn things and do a bunch of Googling. So that's kind of my methodology for live streams. And with that, I've already created an account, but I'm going to drop this. Let me make sure this link is right. Great. I'm going to drop this link in chat for y'all so you can create an account as well. And I'll do the same for Figma, which is both a web app or a local app. I downloaded it locally. Great. So here are the two programs that we're going to be using. And as long as I'm dropping links, make sure that you check into this stream so we know that you're here, and also so that you can get points for your guild. I'm glad. I know that this is what I would have wanted when I was in this situation. Because I design, I don't know how to code it. Yes, that's like a super common thing. Especially, I would not claim myself to be a designer. So I don't necessarily think that I might be like the best person to learn all the techniques from, but I just want to introduce y'all to the tools, because I do think, especially within learning computer science spaces, especially in the US, CS programs, there's a lot of emphasis on this sort of like write back-end code and write servers and algorithms and all these things. And it makes sense. It checks out for getting you a background and experience in computer science that you can build on. But when you just want to make something fun at a weekend hackathon project with some friends, or you want to make a funny website for something, like, it can help to have a more realistic approach. So that's kind of also going to be my approach for all of the streams that I'm doing this week. So we'll talk about that at the end. But great. So I've dropped the links to these two programs, and I've dropped the link for check-in. So check those out in chat. I'm going to click Learn here. Oh, hit my microphone. And I'm just going to take a look at their documentation. Figma Fundamentals. That sounds like a great place to start. Now, duration 8:30. That might be 8 hours, 30 minutes, I'm assuming. I'm gonna click this. I'm already logged in. Well, that wasn't fun. Again, beta. Okay. Maybe I need to click sign in there. Golly gee. Okay. Okay. One would hope. Okay, maybe I don't sign in for this. Let's take a look. I'm going to pause the music. Great. And hit play on this. And let's see what their introduction to Figma is. Oh my goodness, y'all can't hear this. There we go. Now you should be able to. Like I said, first stream of the series, always small technical difficulties. This is like an introduction to literal Figma, which is 1 minute and 58 seconds, which isn't going to be the best. So I'm going to skip over this and let's take a look at how to import. You should be able to hear this now.
Let's learn how to import your Figma design to TheWise. Figma is a powerful design tool to create websites, apps, logos, and much more. To import the design from Figma to TheWise, first, we will create a new application from the dashboard. And here, we also have two other options such as creating an app from templates or selecting single screens from TheWise screen collections. However, as we already have a Figma design, so we will simply create a new app. Here, we will select mobile as we are building a mobile application. Then, give the application a name and select Flutter as the technology. Now, we will connect a Figma account to TheWise. Here, log into your Figma account and provide basic.
So I'm making those facial expressions because I want to make a web app, because I personally think that mobile apps are, I was going to say overdone. I don't necessarily mean that in like a general sense, but I found that when I want to make a small project, that a web app is actually much more functional because it doesn't require people to download it. So if I want to make like a small tool that like making the Discord post in the Discord, I used a Discord date time formatter, which like if that was a mobile app, I'd never use it. But because it's a small website, I go to that every time I'm starting a live stream to format my time codes so that it's in relative based on your time zone. So that's why I'm making the expressions that I'm making. We're going to be focusing on a web app, but obviously you can use this to create Flutter apps.
Access to TheWise. Now, your account is added successfully. You can also add multiple accounts from here and select any account from the drop-down list. Also, if you use someone else's private Figma, then you will get a 404 error. Then, paste the Figma URL of the app design file and create a new app. Here, we will select the screens from which we wish to build the app.
Okay.
But for this lesson, we will select all the screens and click on Submit. Here, it will take a few seconds for the design to be fetched successfully, as TheWise identifies all the UI components in the Figma design file and fetches them to the Screens feature, where you can access all your screens, refresh your Figma file, set a splash screen, and more. And that's how you can successfully create a new application and import your.
You know, this, what I wanted was them to, here we go. Okay. Flutter, React with templates, React with ready-made screens. Now, I'm sure that that's great, but I want to specifically work with Flutter because, or not Flutter, with Figma, because I think it'll be a little bit more fun if we have more freedom. That's one of the things. So there are a bunch of low-code, no-code tools. You've probably heard advertisements for a company that is similar to like Rectangle. What would I say here? Rectangle area, or Squarespace. And like those sort of products, and they do work, but oftentimes their goal from a business perspective is to trap you in with a proprietary system that requires you to pay. Webflow is a great example of they're like pitching themselves as like, we make web design so much faster and easier, but it requires you to pay at least $14 a month to actually publish. So that adds up really quickly as a student. So okay. That crash course wasn't super insightful, but at least hopefully it is going to be fairly straightforward. What I am going to do is let us create a new project. New design file. There we go. Okay. Great. Lovely. So we have our new project, and then I also want to install the DIYs. or wait, it was DWise. That's how they pronounced it. DWise. We want to install the Figma plugin. Now, the question is it a plugin or... Oh, great. Okay. Great. So, okay. Good to know. With that, let's talk about what we want to make. I'm personally thinking that I want to use this to mock up a personal website, because that's not something that I actually have right now. Technically, I have some old one floating around somewhere, but it's basically a virtual business card. And a personal website isn't like the most important thing of all time, but I think it'd be a fun project to work on and add to over the course of the week. So that's what I think I'm going to be making, if you want to follow along and make your own. So earlier, they gave us a brief crash course in Figma that y'all could not hear. So basically, up at the top, we have our tools. We have our like move and scale tools. We have our frame tool. We have our like shapes. We have our like line tools. We have a text tool, and that's about it. That's what Figma gives us. So the first step is to make a frame, and then we can choose the size. So desktop. This makes me slightly frustrated. I always question why they have the sizes that they have, which are like very specific. So I'm going to click on the desktop size because I'm sure someone much smarter than me at user experience and user interface design has decided that this is the size to use to mock things up. But I don't know. So this now gives us basically our screen. And then on the screen, we can add hello. We can add text. And then we can see in this text, we have a whole bunch of options over here to be able to change that. So in this case, we have our font options. So many font options. Do we have Atkinson Hyperlegible? This is my personal favorite font. It's super accessible. And we can just like increase the size and hey, oh look, we have hello, and we can put that in the corner. And then if I hit this play button up here, can you zoom in a little? Yes, I will zoom in a little so that the text is bigger. That probably was not very easy to see. Let us... Ooh. I want to be able to make this text along here bigger. Okay, so first, hey, oh look, it generated a like option of what our thing could look like. And I can, like, that can get very complicated, but I'm just showing you like, hey, oh look, we created something, it exported to a sample to show us. I am going to look really quickly. How to increase UI scale in Figma. In the desktop app, click View from the menu bar. Hover over Interface Scale Options. Okay, it has a keyboard shortcut. Control Shift Alt. There we go. Great. How does that look for y'all? Is that better? Hopefully that should be. I think that's about as big as I can make it. I might even need to make it one smaller. So that we have enough space to work with. Great, I'm glad that that's better. Okay. Let's zoom out. Great. What was the name of the font? Atkinson Hyperlegible. If I click on this right here, we can see it right there. It's a font made by the Braille Institute to be a super accessible and easily readable font. So whenever I don't know what font to choose, I always just choose Atkinson Hyperlegible because I think you can't go wrong. It looks good, and it's made by people who are designing for accessibility. Okay, so this is like as simple as Figma gets. We have like a thing on the screen that I just deleted because we don't necessarily need it. And then from there, we can do whatever we want with it. Now, I want to show you, if I can, a portfolio. Do I have this bookmarked still? Let me find the portfolio that is going to be what I'm emulating, or at least what is my inspiration. Great. Let me find the link. Perfect. Okay. Now, you might be saying, when you see this, dimmer, that looks much more complicated than what we'd be able to make in the course of the session. And that is correct. This is like a super fancy and cool looking portfolio that is made using a combination of 2D, so website design pieces, and 3D design pieces that just looks like super creative and cool. And now this isn't necessarily what you need as like a traditional developer, but I found it really inspirational and I love messing around with 3D modeling. So I love this idea as kind of like ooh, wouldn't it be cool to make something that looks like this? I'm going to drop the link to this portfolio in chat so you can take a look at it, because I think it is the coolest personal website that I've seen in a while. I personally didn't really understand the point of a personal website for a long time, because, well, like, I guess I wasn't good enough as a developer to make something that truly stood out. And it wouldn't be any different from a resume or a LinkedIn profile or anything like that. So yeah, this is a very impressive thing, which we are not going to be making this in today's session. But I just wanted to like take a look at this, see what they have, which is really just 3 parts, which is their name, like, hi, here's who I am, here's what I do, and then they do a little bit about like their skills and what they want to talk about. And then from there, they have their portfolio because they are a designer. They describe themselves as a creative developer in there. I'm blanking on what type of the website that's called, but yeah. And then down here, they just have a contact. So this is a like fairly simple, all things considered, like amount of information that is dressed up in a very complicated way. With that being said, let's think about how we would want to do this, for me at least personally, with how I'm going to do this. So I am going to close this for now, because for those of you who have seen my streams before, you will know that I am streaming on a computer that is literally held together by a piece of electrical tape. So sometimes she gets a little bit overloaded. So I'm going to close the website that's using a bunch of 3D graphics, and I'm just going to like sketch out here using the pencil and like kind of look at what I want, like the first thing that someone, when they look at my site on a desktop, like full screen, what I want them to see. So here, I think it's great to have a name. Just want to say, not mine. Like, it's a great piece of work. It is not mine. I do not want anyone to ever think that. So, okay. I would want my name, because this is a personal website, and I'd want like a brief personal statement. Oh my goodness. Writing with a mouse. And then I really love what they do here with 3D avatar, which is using Blender and Three.js, I believe. I heard them talk about this in a blog post or something somewhere. I'm blanking on how I originally found this. That would be more complicated for later. But a name and a piece of personal information. And then one of the things that I really liked about that was it didn't necessarily feel like, hey, you're on a corporate website, because I feel like a lot of the like design systems and design trends are based around making a website that's either selling you something or is like, well, mostly selling you something. So I want to like step away from that. Like, I don't necessarily want like, here's your bar across the top that's your nav bar and all of these things. Like, I personally feel like that's a little bit unnecessary and kind of too corporate for what I want in a personal website. Again, if I wanted something like that, I would just link to my LinkedIn profile. But I do like that they had a hamburger menu there. So if you didn't want to like deal with all of the fanciness, you could just click on that and click the like projects and it'll scroll you down to that. So we have this. Now, the reason why this worked for their website was that they had this like cool 3D animated avatar. We aren't going to have that at first. So for now, I want to fill that with something. And now we have like a couple options. I could just like make a thumbnail face at the camera and be like, and put that there temporarily, kind of as a meme. The invoices that I send to like MLH have my face big in the upper left corner. I find that kind of funny. Or we could replace that with like some loading picture style thing. That's kind of boring, so I'm going to do a meme face here of me just doing something real dumb, because I'm not taking this too seriously. Like, the point of this is having fun and trying something new. I'm not going to be sending this to Microsoft and being like, come hire me. But also, if you are going to send something to Microsoft, and that is who you are as a person, that is what you like, you might as well show it. So, this, and then like an arrow down there to indicate like, hey, scroll down to learn more. And now we have this like white space here, which let's go back and look at our inspiration site. We have the big button right here, which is get in touch. And it transitions us down to here, and we can scroll back up. Now, taking a look at this more, it's not just over here. It takes up the majority, and the text is like the side piece, which is very cool. Like, this looks really, really cool. But given that we aren't doing the 3D modeling and design today, I hope to do that this week, but that would be a much later stream. Yeah, you know what? Let's just like go with the simplicity here. I think I'm going to keep that button, which is get in touch, rather than that like big box. That's great. And actually, all this jazz would be more there, and all this jazz would be here. Now, I'm trying to like channel people who I've talked to who are like really serious and good about like online brand and identity and things like that. Jacqueline Biggin, an amazing MLH coach. Let's take a look at her website. That's her LinkedIn. Great. Okay. This is like a different design and vibe. There's a text button. I'm trying to figure out what there's a text button means. Currently, I'm not actually trying to make anything. I'm just laying this out, mocking up my ideas. But okay, so this is her website where she features projects, kind of a TLDR of what she's done, an introduction, and then she has projects, about, contact, all of that jazz. And all of this is like super good information. And I believe this is, yes, okay. Great, okay. So I basically want to take the information that she shares here and make it in a website that is much more like this. Great. So this would be the first page. And then I think we'd have you scroll down. And this might technically not be the like best way to do this. This is more just for me mocking this up. Then we'd scroll down, and here we'd want like an about page, basically. Yeah, because the way that I should really grab his name. David. The way that David structured his website is introduction, about, portfolio, contact. So introduction, and then this is about. Wow, that is some of the. There we go. Okay, we have about, and then let's add another desktop. And this one is going to be, yes, our objective is to convert a design that we make in Figma to code. And we probably aren't going to make something super complicated just given like the time constraints of this, but the goal is to show that you can use a system like this to make something that looks cool and then convert that to code and then edit that code and build upon that website from there. Attendance link, yes. Give me 1 sec to copy the check-in link again. Ka-chow, check-in link is in chat. So we have about, and then we had portfolio. And then we had contact. And I'm separating this like this because we definitely will not have time today to do all of this. So I want to break it down into manageable chunks. Great. And I think what I'm going to shoot for in this session, let's speedrun. I thought about this. If I knew more what I was about to do and I wasn't trying to learn, which for some sessions I do know more than I do going into this one, which this one is designed to show y'all an experience that I am experiencing along with you of learning a new thing. I was thinking about like setting up a speedrun timer and like doing all that jazz. It might be coming, but I think we want to do this introduction page and then we'll do this contact page. These two we're going to skip for now. Because I think the contact page will give us a really interesting chance of like, can we create a form in Figma and convert that easily? And like, can we just like structure a generic website? So those are like the two things that I really want to try. With that being said, let's actually try. I've hesitated here because I want to like, now let's actually go into building it. Like we've planned out what we want to do. And the thing is here we go. I'll zoom in. Auto-identifies every app design with the support of more than 41 UI components and icon detection. Reusable UI components, auto actions, modify screens, all of these things. Great. This is the thing that I find very important, is like being able to take this source code and then work with it. But I guess what I'm really wondering is like, how does it identify those UI components, and how can I make sure that before I actually start designing, I'm designing in a way that this will be able to recognize, especially with that form. Because I want to make sure oof. I was expecting more from this. I was hoping for more from this. Okay. So right here, learn more from our design guidelines to follow design standards to get your application UI identified easily. Where can I find that? Documentation. Okay. I'm just skimming through this. Oof. It's really not giving us much here, which it is in beta. I will admit that. So there was another one. And I'm going to take a look at this other one because it might give us a little bit more here, which I think is kind of important. I was excited for this because it has theoretically more headroom with the low-code like app development to integrate Firebase and things like that. It like theoretically can do more, but if it's not documented well enough for me to feel comfortable, yeah, we identify 41 types of components. But it doesn't tell us more than that. So, Figma to code. There was this plugin as well, which has more usage, but there were a bunch of comments that were kind of just like people talking about how it hasn't been updated since March 2021. It said somewhere in here. Yeah, not updated since March 2021. But then this person was talking about Firejet. Welcome to what the start of every hackathon for me looks like, which is going through all of these different tools and trying to figure out let's take a look at their website and their documentation, and then let's take a look here at the GitHub page to see when this was last. So this doesn't look like it is super up to date, but Firejet, okay, here's is where I go and I look at pricing. Yeah, 14-day free trial. Nope. I kind of refuse to use a tool that is paid in that way because, especially as a student and as someone who is learning, I don't want to pay to get locked into someone's system. Okay. What we're gonna do is, it looks like none of them like it looks like neither of them really give you like a, here's exactly what you need to do to make sure it's supported. It's kind of like, take your existing design and try it out. So we're just going to do our best to design, and then we'll try both, and we'll see which one works better. I am going to get rid of the 2 frames that we don't need. And I'm actually going to get rid of desktop 4 as well, because we want this to scroll. So it's all going to be in one thing. And we're going to take a look here. And we're going to call this home. Actually, no. Yeah, let's call this home. I just did that by double clicking. Okay, on the name. So, thinking, big brain, galaxy brain time. What we just want to do is quite simply I'm going to group all of these loose vectors. Great. Okay. So I can hide it and unhide it. Let's just like start putting things on here, and then we'll work on like creating a grid layout and things like that. Actually, let me Google Figma grid. Okay. Gonna throw this blog post up. Grid systems for screen design. Let me go back one to their more. Okay. I just want to be able to turn on a grid. I haven't used Figma in a little bit. Great. Help you align. Layout grids, applying layout grids. To any frame. Right toolbar. Let's take a look. Oh, layout grid. There we go. Great. Let's make it much bigger than that. Can we do? No. In an ideal world. Ah, okay. We do not want a uniform square grid. We want it to be columns. There we go. And 5 columns. No. We do want this to be 2 columns. And then we have gutter options. We're going to take a step back and simplify and simplify. Because again, I'm not a Figma pro. I don't claim to be a Figma pro. And we're going to like start with getting things on the screen, and then we're going to work to compile them and arrange them in a way that is pretty and beautiful. Thanks for joining us. Anything else that needs to be done? Nope. As long as you signed, did the check-in, you're all set. And I'm so glad that I was able to help you with the zooming everywhere. I'll make sure to do that more frequently. Have a great night. Okay. So I'm just gonna add this again. And hi, I'm Timur. Making all sorts of typos. Great. So now we have this text that I'm going to like roughly place there. I'm a student studying CS and digital media. And we're going to make this much smaller. So that goes there. And then actually, what I think this button should be, instead of a contact, I think that button should be a portfolio button, because that I think is much more important for someone in my position where I don't have like, it's not that people know my name and are like waiting to interact with me. I just want to put a placeholder there. So for now, I'm just going to fill that, the rectangle, great. And then I'm going to put a circle here that we're going to fill with that icon later. And now I can hide this. Great. What a wonderful mockup. Perfect to publish right now. It reminds me of the graphic design is my passion meme. Okay. We have something up there. Oh, that is on my literal screen. Okay. Great. And then we're going to take this rectangle and we're going to clean it up. So let's add here. You'll notice I just clicked on it and we have all of these options on the right hand side to edit things. And I'm going to add, let's say, a 25% curve to it. So those edges are like perfectly rounded for us. And I'm going to take these two. And I'm going to group selection. And I'm going to rename this to portfolio button. And this text box, I'm going to make the same size as the button. And we're going to center the text on it. Great. So now we have this button. I'm just going to drag it up to there, and we'll deal with spacing and things like that later. Now we want a hamburger icon, and there are multiple ways of getting icons into Figma. So let's do a Google search, me clicking everywhere and opening all of my files. Excuse me. There we go. Great. Okay. What icon library do I want to use? Material design. I don't really want to use the material icons because, again, that just feels too... Let's take a look at Font Awesome icons. And I'm going to search for hamburger. You know, it would be very funny in my mind to have a literal burger icon for like a hamburger menu, but I feel like that would be like an accessibility no-no. So I don't think I'm going to do that, but it would be very funny. So maybe I'll think about it, but great. I don't want them necessarily to be square. Perfect. Let us font awesome icons in Figma, and I'm sure there's going to be ooh, I thought that there would be an official supported. Okay. There we go. This seems to be what we're looking for. To open this, it's telling us we should download. Great. Okay. Downloaded that. Let's try just opening this up. Oh, great. Okay. Let us go into my downloads. And unzip this. And install some font awesome icons. Great. Let's open this in the desktop app here. Okay. Done. Okay. Let's take a look at this more. We've done that. We've done that. Select your preferred component, swap styles, change padding and scale. Okay. Now, theoretically, I should just be able to type in here bars. Well, that is actually remarkably simple. Let us copy and hopefully paste. Great. That is a font awesome icon. that ellipse. Hey, look. This is starting to look like something. And then here is where we'll do the like, or whatever face I choose to do. Now we have a couple of questions to ask ourselves. Our eventual goal is to have this kind of text and that floating above a 3D scene that we create in Blender, and using that as the background. Until then, what do we want this to be filled with? I would love a subtle pattern of some sort, but I don't know if I'm a good enough designer to pull that off. So for the sake of today, I might just leave that and as white, and we'll deal with it at a later time. We'll see. For now, we have something that is not inherently atrocious. I'm sure if anyone in here is a designer or knows anything more than how to use basic software for design, you can pick all the mistakes apart of this, of just like the things that I'm doing. But for a proof of concept, this is all that we're going for. With the like meat and potatoes of this up, now it's just a matter of aligning it on the screen. And let's go back to I hit the auto layout button and I don't know what I was expecting, but it was not that. Let's try adding a grid to this. And we are going to choose columns. And we want to have 2 columns with a, let's say, a margin of 20. No. Let's try 50, 50. Great. Let's try taking this and using this is a test of me talking. Can you all hear me again? A computer held together with electrical tape, everyone. It totally froze for me there, but hopefully I'm back now. Until someone tells me in chat. Oh, great. Okay, I got a yes. Y'all can hear me again. Great. So we have these 2 columns, and I'm going to roughly use this to lay out what we're looking to do. No, I don't want that to take up the whole space. Great. Have I tried flex tape? I have not, but I have sawed this boat in half. I'm just going to make this a square for the sake of my brain. Great. And now let's also create rows. No, this doesn't necessarily make sense. Thinking. Thoughts. My brain is thinking thoughts. Okay. I'm going to create another grid. And this grid is going to be rows. And we're going to have 3 rows. Great. Great. And now we will use this . Again, I'm sure I'm committing many cardinal sins in the realms of design. I'll work on centering that later. So my thoughts here are, I want this to be at the top, and now I'm just wondering what the spacing between them should be. Because if I put this at the bottom, no, that just like, it feels wrong. Like the two need to be closer together. But for, it needs to be close, but not too much. Yes. And this is why there's so many realms of design that are designed to answer this exact question of what is close, but not too much. But this is also why I really like being able to design something like this in Figma first, rather than just like writing a bunch of code and kind of being like, okay, I guess I'm just going to use like 12 viewport, like 25% of the viewport height and see what happens, which is how I would go about things in the past. So this isn't perfect, but I'm at least attempting to be intentional about it. Okay. What is... Okay. What if we were to line them up exactly? And then I were to use that. Okay. That doesn't look half bad. Using the work of designers who have decided on font sizes, I've kind of cheated my way out of death. Maybe that's a dramatic way of phrasing that, but this seems, I will say, good enough. And then for portfolio, I wish it gave me what the center, I guess that is the center. Oh, but that looks so off. No, it needs to be left aligned like the others. What if I were to now hide the grid? It just looks too far apart, which is, you know, not incorrect. What if I were to just do the same trick again? No, that's not what I'm looking to do. I want to edit this. Great. No. going to line that up with. I'm like 99% sure this is going to look like hot garbage. Maybe it was a little bit of my hubris to think about like, oh, I know that grids are used. Maybe I should. You know what? It could be worse. That is what I will say. It could be worse. If I now group these. Great. And now I can take this whole group and it says that that centers it on the page. But we can like see how it obviously isn't. Like that is more visually centered. Now, here's where if like hey, welcome 404 not found. You know what? We're gonna say that this is chef's kiss, good enough, and we are going to let's work to just make sure this is centered with the 42. You're entirely fine. Like being here late is not that big of a deal. I'm not grading based on attendance. You do need to make sure you're on time for the final. The final is 60% of your grade. The other 40% is your relative participation in chat. That being said, we do want to fix this position when scrolling, so when we scroll down, it stays. Really wanted to learn Figma? This isn't necessarily the best place to learn Figma. This is like an introduction to the fact that Figma exists, and from there you can find people who are like actual designers to teach you Figma. Okay, we know that this is 100 wide and 100 tall. So if I line that up there and... Okay, two things. One, yes, I am definitely grading you. You will get your report card in the mail in 2 weeks. How do I know your home address? I'm omnipotent. Looks like a cool project. Hopefully, we'll see. And it's my first time participating in MLH, and I don't know about check-in. Can you please brief it in a minute or two? Briefly, check-in. You can join a guild, which is a group of people that you work together to complete challenges over the course of Global Hack Week. Blahaj Gang is the guild that I know the most amount. It's run by Jacqueline Biggin, who is the person we were looking at her portfolio earlier. It basically gives you like a smaller community, because the MLH community can be very big, to participate in challenges with. And by checking in, you get points for your guild, which at the end of, I believe, each day and at the end of the week as a whole, there's like a leaderboard ranking of the guilds and things like that. I am going to paste the link for check-in in chat again. I believe they do have a session on Figma one of these days. That would be amazing. Again, I am not a designer. I do not claim to be a designer. I'm just a person who has messed around in this software before. So someone who probably has more design chops than me talking about this would be great. I would highly recommend going to that. Okay, so we know that this is 100 wide, and we know that the width of this icon is 42, so 100 minus 42 should be 58, if I'm not mistaken, and dividing 58 by 2 would give us 29, so we're going to add 29 to this, and that should center it. And then again, we have a height of 100, and the height of this is 48, So we're looking for 52 divided by 2 is 26. So 26, hey, look, that looks centered to me. We have what I'm going to rename from untitled to personal portfolio. And of course, personal portfolio. Great. Perfect. And now I'm going to hit this play button. And drum roll, please. Hey, oh, look at that. We can see that the hamburger menu doesn't show up. Wonderful. Scrolls. Fixed. What if I turn off fixed on this for now and share it again? Because actually we don't want this to be fixed. We want it to scroll with the page. Hey, there we go. Okay, now it shows up. Okay. With that, we have this beautiful, not super simplistic, and totally easy to replicate website that is completely unique. And I'm going to grab the color that I use in this little wavy line that's on the wall in the background, because I like this color. And I am going to use that color for the button here. Great. I wanted to open this in Photoshop. Big brain moment. Oh, I don't even have Photoshop on here. Stream assets. Lavender squiggle. And we're gonna try opening with, choose another app. Give me Google Chrome. Give me Chrome. Oh, I forgot how slow Windows search is. Google Chrome application, chrome.exe. And hey, oh look, okay, I have an extension that is a color dropper. Great. And now I have that color. Okay. So then the portfolio button. We want the rectangle, and we are going to fill it with that color. And I'm again going to hide this gosh darned grid. Wonderful. What a pop of color. And then on this portfolio button, let us add an effect. Drop shadow is great. I want to add a little bit more than that because that doesn't look really exactly what I want it to be. Way too much. Goodness. That is also too much. You know what? This is, earlier I talked about like trusting the people who've already done the design, and we're gonna go with that. Great. I have a light drop shadow on that. Actually, I really, this color is not the easiest to read, but I'm just gonna cheat a little bit and give it some opacity for again, just a little quick cheat. And then also it'll have transparency and opacity when we replace this placeholder with something in the background. Great. Now we want to expand this. Sorry, I keep bumping the mic. To how did that? What? Why did everything shift when I did that? Okay, so I want to double the height of this so that we can then add our like second set of things. Oh, I'm gonna be driven insane. Which is our contact form, which I'm going to make real fast because we are rapidly running out of time, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna go here and turn back on that grid. Oh, I aligned things to the grid and then made the whole thing bigger, so of course those moved. This is why I shouldn't have been trying to use design tools that I don't know how to use. I'm going to line things up like that and then move it over 100. Great. Now we have this, and actually what I'm going to do is one of these. Here we go. Place image. We're going to go into stream assets again. We're going to take this lavender squiggle. And we're going to place that at the bottom. Hey, oh, look. Great. And then actually, I do want columns, just not rows. Great. So now contact me. And then we're going to create the best looking UI you have ever seen, I promise. Now, honestly, I don't know if I would have a custom contact me form on my personal website rather than like a button that you can click to expose my email instead. But this is a great example for just testing, because again, the end goal of this is not just to create something in Figma, but to use Figma to duplicate this button. To use this to create a website of some kind in code. Nope, wrong button. This button. Great. The most complex, elegant, chef's kiss website. I'm going to get the Turing Award for this. Let us turn off the... Oh. I got rid of the fill. That's what I did instead of the grid. There we go. No, I want the grid. I just want... There we go. Hey, look at that. That is, theoretically, a thing. That is something that looks close enough to a website. This obviously isn't super pretty, but now if we hit play... and it loads. Hey, look at this. This looks like a thing that exists. Now, it's a question of, let's try running this. Design to code. Sign in. Theoretically, I should already be signed in. It's asking me to sign in again. That's okay. You know what? Instead, we're going to go the other direction. We're going to open DWise, and we're going to new application, create a new app, web, and we're going to call it Portfolio 1. And we want it to be React, and we want it to be from Figma, and I'm going to connect my Figma account. And then I'm going to paste in a Figma URL, share, copy link, paste the Figma URL, create new app, and hopefully this now does all of the hard work for me, and suddenly there is no more world hunger. I have saved all of the babies and the puppies, and possibly created a website. Fetching Figma resources. Now, I didn't actually add the picture in. Downloading image from Fig. Oh, wait, I did have the... I should have... Okay. Currently, we'll just have a gray box where my placeholder face image should, will eventually be. But that's okay for now. Okay. Okay. It has... Okay, let's take a look at what this did. I feel a little let down. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not great at Figma, as we know, but this is a column, and it added this image here. Did I identify the portfolio button at least? Theoretically, there's a button in here somewhere. Okay, did I identify this as a button? Theoretically. But yeah, I can feel the pain. This is worse than useless, in my opinion. Now, I do want to say, maybe if I was better at Figma and I used like industry standard layouts and things like that, maybe it would be better. But at this point, it would be easier, in my opinion, for me to go through and try replicating that myself with my limited web design and knowledge that I have from doing hackathons and things like that, than to try working with this. Oh, and look at that poor image. Look at what they've done to my boy. Yeah, no, she's cooked. What I am going to do is I'm going to make sure to unlink this from my Figma account. How do I? All apps. My account. Where I want permissions. Is coming soon. I mean, I did choose to work on a beta project. So instead I'm going to sign out, and in Figma, I'm later going to go through and make sure to remove the access from my account. But now let's try the second thing, which is Figma to Code, which is old and hasn't been updated in 2 years. Now, I'm just going to search code. There are quite a lot of these. Because again, theoretically, this should be like a wonderful thing. There's Firejet. So teleport. The grading was sarcasm. I don't know how you were reading this, and I don't know if you knew that based on this message, but I am not grading y'all. This is just for fun, just to join me to learn some things. You can get points for your guild for submitting things, but that is a separate process from me. Now, I might have just been r/whooshed, but I just wanted to say, for everyone here, I'm not actually grading you. I'm not going to show up at your house 2 weeks from now with a report card. You're fine. You're good. Okay. Let's... Now, okay, taking a step back. I might be quite disappointed right now. Because what was advertised did not work. I'm just going to click this try it out button, and we're going to see. Complete daily challenges, yes. But I'm not the one who grades daily challenges. That is a process separate from me. If you have questions about it, you should ask on our Discord. Okay. Let's try this again. Figma to code. Tailwind. Great, okay. We're gonna try running this. And whoa. That. Shockingly simple. Let's try copying this. Let's open up a CodePen for it. Now we'll see. This might be, again, I mean, it did. Okay, let's take a second. To be honest, my disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. My dream is to be able to design something in Figma and export it. And when I was doing research before this stream, I found a whole bunch of projects promising just that. And I was excited because I am really excited for the idea of like open source low code systems that allow you to maintain control of your code base and your designs. I don't like the idea of using like Rectangle Area, Squarespace, or a system like that, because you don't actually have control over anything that you've made. It's all in their system. You can't export it anywhere. It's in their language, and you need to pay them to have access to your creations forever and ever. It's one of the reasons why I really like learning to code in computer science, because I think learning how to make my own things like this is a really cool skill to be able to work with. But I really, like, a dream of mine is to be able to convert things from a design platform that allows you to more easily lay things out and then convert that to code. And my dream was to be able to do that using Figma, which is currently like the big booming platform for user interface design. It's growing really rapidly. And yeah, LOL, not there yet. And maybe there's some project that I've missed. I was scrolling through a bunch of Medium articles, doing a bunch of Googling before this, and those were the two that actually seemed to be worthwhile, especially because I don't think that if you want to do something like this, you should have to pay for it. If you want to pay to maintain a website, then you should just use like a Squarespace or something like that, because it gives you all of the tools. God, I feel like I'm doing a Squarespace ad. But if you want to be able to like ease the process of writing your own code, I want you, being the general you, to be able to use interesting tools and to convert things easily and to kind of work with it. Yeah, I'm quite disappointed at where things are, but at the same time, what we laid out in Figma there isn't all that complicated, which is exceptionally disappointing that it couldn't work with that, because Figma allows you to do so many more complicated things. I am going to quickly show you, what would be a good thing to show you. I've made a couple of things. Hey, look, you can see the project that I did for the company. I have a couple that let's take a look at this. This is a project that I made as a Figma mockup that we ended up actually converting to Flutter, like, manually. I gave this to the people that I was working on the project with. This is not the actual final version. Here we go. You can create really cool things in Figma, and you can, like, here we go. Great. The project was Crowd Scout. It's on my dev post somewhere. And there we go. Great. What we have here is I can, like, scroll around on this map, and I can click search. And in that search, I can, like, type something. Now this is simulated typing, and then I can select one of these, and I can click on it, and I can see the app change, and I can click on the button, and I can do all of these things in here, and I can simulate pop-ups, and I can, like, close things, and I can hit submit. All of these are what I want to be able to do in Figma, is to create something that is more complicated. In this case, this is an app, but to create a demo that is more functional. I also created, maybe this one is actually the better one to show. I've created a couple of these. And it's why, like, this is why I was introduced. Oh my goodness, can't see this. You just see my face. You only see my face. Okay, let me change that. Hey, look, you see my screen now. This is like an example of an app that I made for like a design competition, where we talked about, like, what if you created a mood tracking app and things like that. And we had all of these options, and like we were able to show this to the judges and allow them to kind of mess around with it and see what this app could look like. We gave them a mock-up that they could click on and they could touch. And that was what I found so impactful, was the ability to do that. And it makes me sad that like I was able to make this over the course of like a day and a half maybe for this project, and it obviously isn't like the best designed thing of all time, but I'm happy with how it looked, or I was happy, and I am happy with how it looks. So I would love to be able to take this and convert it to code, but obviously we aren't there yet. So Figma can do a lot more than I'm showing you. It can simulate experiences, and you can add animations, and you can do all of these things. This is like a glorified Photoshop file. So, with that being said, this was an intro to low and no code tools, I said. There are many low and no code tools. What I was showing was one of them because I thought it would be an exciting one to show, because a lot of times there's kind of a joke of like designed by engineers, of people who can write code aren't necessarily the people who can create things that look good as a user to use. And it's kind of a joke in the open source community of you see something and it's definitely designed by engineers. And I was excited about the prospect of having a tool that would allow you to not necessarily have to do that. That obviously didn't work out. But before we go, even though that goal was not successful, I want to talk to y'all about low and no code tools as a whole, because this failed. This obviously needs time to develop if it can ever actually really be successful. I was hopeful. It obviously didn't work out. I want to talk to you about some tools that are out there. So I'm going to share my screen again. And I want to give you all some more to work with. Here we go. Great. Autocode is a great low-code example of, again, instant endpoints for webhooks, bots, and APIs. It allows you to, hey, look, you can see Jacqueline right there. Wonder where she works. It allows you to create APIs super quickly, and I've done a couple of live streams with this. I created a Discord bot that could play music in a Discord VC using this in like 2 files. And it's a super cool like way of you interacting with things in a way that both allows you to write code and has like a great free tier, but also like allows you to interact with these things. So I'm gonna drop autocode in the chat for y'all. There is also, what am I looking for here? Pocketbase. I was Googling it earlier. Pocketbase is a really cool thing that I've been looking at recently, which is a open source project that is, as you can tell by the naming, kind of in the same realm as Firebase. But it allows you to do real-time database, authentication, file storage, just like right out of the box in one file. You need to host it on your own server, but you can use like a Linode server or something like that, a very cheap, small server. And it allows you to create something very simply using a database. And it is open source, and you own the server and you own the code, unlike Firebase, which is all Google, which Firebase is a great tool. Don't get me wrong. AWS, great tool. But again, if you want to have all of the things, Pocketbase is a really great, like simple database provider. I'm trying to think. See, most of these that I know are for more back-end systems. And when I was Googling for like no and low code, there are a whole bunch of things out there that exist for like corporations and entities and things like that. These are, I think, the 2 that I feel most comfortable talking about because they're the 2 that I know. There is going to be a later session that is at 8:00 a.m. Eastern time on the 10th. And that is going to be going over more no-code systems. So there can be more there as well. I don't want you to walk away from this thinking that like, oh well, I guess I can't make anything if I don't know how to code, because that is not true. Like Figma is a great example of how to create mockups that can be very interactive and very great. It's kind of a thing that is debated in the hackathon community. Some people don't like Figma mockups as projects. I personally highly support a Figma mockup being a project at a hackathon, because you have made something. You have designed an app, and you're talking about all of the things that you want it to do, or you could design a website or a Chrome extension or whatever you want to make. I guess I'm really disappointed. I wanted the end of this stream to be this victorious, like, look at this. Like, we took something that was like designed to look pretty in this like very easy to use GUI, and here's our code, and we can now edit this, and we can now add to this, and we have complete control. But that isn't what ended up happening. But I don't want the thing that you take away from this is that it means that it is impossible, because there are tools out there. That being said, I do want to talk really quickly about the future streams that I'm going to be doing this week, because they all are sort of in the same vein of like how do we create something using a shorter amount of time and fewer lines of code and less experience, and how can we still make something cool with it. So on the 12th, I'm going to be talking about hacking using ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is kind of scarily good at creating small snippets of code and explaining APIs and things like that to you. So I'm going to be talking then about using that in your projects to like speed up your workflow and to learn more. On the 13th, I'm going to be talking about finding and using libraries, which if you attended any of my streams from December, we were mostly using existing libraries to work on creating our own interactions with Twitch and YouTube chat, where people could, I'm seeing y'all in chat and you're making me laugh. People could type things in chat and play music on my computer and text to speech and all of these things. And we used these libraries that meant that I wrote maybe like 100 lines of code total across all the different projects that we made, because people had already created libraries to do that. So that's on the 13th. And then on the 15th, I have another technical stream, which I think is currently unlabeled, but I'm going to be looking at Three.js, which is the what is used to like add three-dimensional things to websites and cool animations and things like that. And then we have a currently unknown technical stream on the 16th that I'm still figuring out what to do, but it'll be in the same vein of creating things using limited amounts of code, and specifically under limited amounts of time. So creating tools that allow you to create more with less. Let me look at the chat. It was really good anyways. Yeah, I'm still happy with what we did. We got to like walk through together like what I think about like the process of designing a UI, and we like walked through the basics of Figma and things like that. I'm sure that's going to be the direction moving forward. I hope so. In one of my freshman computer science classes, my professor talked about the difference between a computer scientist and a computer engineer. And the computer scientist software developer and software engineer. A software developer is someone... I need to stop reading chat while I'm trying to talk about more serious things. 404 not found. Mwah. It is a surprise test. But a software developer is someone who, when given a design spec, can write the code. And a software engineer is someone who can create that design spec. And I think that it would be really cool if there are more tools that made creating things using code more accessible. So I like hope it is the future, but it currently isn't right now. And I'm glad I was able to share at least a couple of things for you to take moving forward. And hopefully I should be able to come back on future streams with more. And again, make sure to study for finals on the 16th. I'm not going to tell you what's on the finals, because you just need to study and read the textbook. If I told you what was on the finals, it would be hurting your learning. That's my best impression of some of the worst professors I've had. Thank you all so much for joining me here tonight. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you and creating what ended up being kind of a failed project, but it was a fun journey that we went down. You all get an A+ for this session, because I am grading you, of course. Thank you so much, and have an amazing night. Bye, y'all.